Yo, what's up guys? I'm back with another URGOT video. This is just a little update because there was some interest and I'm really enjoying the pick. I have, updated a little bit, gained some more information, some knowledge. Some people came into the chat, gave me some advice because I am new to URGOT as a, champion, and even named a master OTP that I want to introduce later on that is spamming URGOT Jungle quite successfully, and just give some more information and key updates so we can all enjoy this pick more and most importantly, get more LP. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's first start with the build. Not much changed, but I did learn a little bit about URGOT and I just wanted to give you an update. And also for the people that haven't seen my video, this is what I would build on URGOT. So the core items are for sure Black Cleaver and Sterex. Now in my last video I said you could easily start, or what felt the best was if you start with Hubris, because you get a lot of damage and you ramp up really quick if you get an early lead. And your 1v1 is insanely strong. There's barely any champions that can actually fight you 1v1 if your passive is up. And if you get kills or assists, the passive of Hubris is just very, very strong to snowball the game even further and to just abuse that strength of URGOT. The thing is though, that this item is dependent on you having a good team early and getting a lead. And since your ganks are not reliable, they're not your best tool. I would say URGOT ganks are like a 5 or 6 out of 10 if even. They're really not that strong, and you do need good gank setup and CC, hard engage, something like that on the lanes to have successful ganks, especially provided if the enemies, don't overextend or don't ward, that kind of stuff. So if the enemy plays well, you do need help to gank. Then I think the Hubris might be a little bit risky, and it's safer to go Black Cleaver because this is the most important item on URGOT. It gives you the most value by far. It gives you damage, tankiness, armor shred, everything you need. Then second, the Sterex just gives you enough survivability, another, a little bit tenacity to stick to the enemy and to not get locked down because you are a champion that has to go in, right? Or wants to go in and close up into melee fight with the enemies. These two items are just absolutely core. You always want to build them. I can't think of any scenario where you don't buy these items on URGOT ever. Then second, standard build. This is what I would generally build overall. Start with Black Cleaver though, then go into Stridebreaker. This just gives you some more, mobility. You can stick to the enemy better, slow them. You can also disengage with this item quite well, plus your Q slow. It's just overall survivability and utility. Very, very useful. Then again, Sterex, third item, second or third, always important. What I didn't know, but what I think is very interesting is the Spear of Shojin. The passive also works on the passive of URGOT, and it's just a really, really good item. You want to get your abilities up faster and you just do more damage, right? The ability haste is great, but especially the focused will just amplifies your damage, and it's an overall really, really good item. You get your core stats that you need, attack damage and more health, and yeah, this is definitely a good solid pickup. Now here you can, choose what you need. If you want some more survivability and less damage, Yaksho is great. You get some armor and magic resist, more health, and overall, just more tankability and frontline ability. Or just get Blood Mail, which is also great with, bonus health and attack damage. This is just the standard build I would recommend in general. Then here comes the build that I used to play and I really enjoyed. But again, with the asterisk and the extra information, you should only build this if you have a proper team setup with a lot of CC and you get fed early, or you have good gank opportunities and you're not just scaling and power farming, right? Then you can definitely start Hubris or Yumus. Both are great to start with, a lot of damage and good ramp up, snowballing potential. And then you just go the standard route again, Black Cleaver, Sterex, and then you get any of these items to, complete your build. I also like to go Bloodthirster last if I'm super giga fed. It's just insane. You got to try it. It feels, you're like a raid boss. It feels insane to play. Yeah, any of these items are situational. There are very few scenarios where I would get Spirit Visage, but if the enemy is, 4 AP champions, then obviously you don't need Randuins or any of these items, and Yaksho might not be enough magic resist, then I would recommend going Spirit Visage. Other than that, you can swap out the, if you want to be even tankier and the enemies only have melee, no one getting away, no one with mobility or jumps or whatever, or dashes, which is very rare nowadays in League, but let's just assume it's mainly bruisers and tanks, then you can swap the Titanic Hydra into, in for the Stridebreaker. And yeah, this is pretty much the builds I would go for. Very simple, very straightforward. You can almost build this, this build, you can almost build every game. So if you're someone who doesn't care about flexibility or varying different builds, then this champion is perfect for you, because you can legit just brain AFK and build the same thing almost every game, and you will be strong and useful. Now for runes, not much changed either. I would say go for press the attack. I recommend this. I played this the most. This just felt right. 1v1s, you're strong. It feels like this is just the strongest rune for URGOT because it has burst damage. You know, you just want to take down the target as fast as possible. Then you want to go for Triumph. You will be in the front line. You will be close melee range in the enemies. Gives you some more survivability if you get that one takedown with the ult, and you do get what is it, 2.5% of your max health back. I think this just has the most value out of these three. Then next up, Legend Haste. This is again just like Black Cleaver or Spear of Shojin. This is what you want to get because your abilities will have less cooldown. You want to have them up as much as possible. It just makes the most sense on URGOT, I think. You don't really need the attack speed because you work a lot with your W, and the healing is not significant enough to warrant getting this. Here, these, you could argue, Last Stand, I don't like it that much. You usually just want to go in, burst a champion, and go out again, or, you know, reposition and then go back in. You don't really want to have prolonged fights where you are low HP on URGOT because you don't really have any sustain, any heal. So if you're low HP and get locked down, there's not much you can do, and you don't really want to fight. You actually want to get out if you're low HP. So Last Stand doesn't really make sense for me. Coup de grace, like similar, you already do execute damage on low targets, right? So if they're low, you're gonna have your ult on them and just pull them in and execute. So you don't really need that extra 8% damage on 40% below 40% health targets. It's way more important to get cut down and to burst them early on, have that damage initially when you go in, and then execute them with your ult. So personally, I would definitely recommend cut down. It makes a lot more sense than the others. Then on the secondary runes, you want to go Inspiration Tree. Magical Footwear is just great value. You want to farm, you want to power farm on URGOT anyways. You want to get level 13 quickly. You want to stat check the enemies, right? The more levels you have, the more items you have, the more gold efficiency you have, the stronger you get. It's literally just a stat check. And this is great for it. And it also gives you more movement speed later on to, you know, disengage or to hunt people down with your ult and with your Q and E. Same thing goes for approach velocity. This is just another way to be sticky and to chase someone down with that quick burst damage, and then use your R to finish them off. I would go for double adaptive force. More adaptive force means more damage on your W and your Q. This just helps you clear the jungle faster and more efficiently. Faster and efficient clear means you are going to be able to either counter gank or reset faster, go for even more farm and clearing, and just get to the strat checking faster. I know it sounds a little bit boring, but this is literally how you play URGOT, in my opinion, in the jungle. He has a pretty decent clear, and you want to get level 13 as fast as possible, and then you're going to be an unstoppable raid boss. Then for health, you can either go health scaling or, you know, plus 65 HP. I like this because if you get invaded early, this gives you a little bit more skirmish potential and you are a little bit stronger. You're stacking HP like crazy anyways later on, so this is just my personal playstyle. You could also go for scaling if you feel like, you know, you're not going to get invaded, you're not going to get into a lot of fights early on. If you're playing against an enemy jungler that is also hyper scaling and farming a lot, you don't really need this, and you can go for health scaling. Now, I have seen it a couple times on other URGOTs, and I have tried it myself. It does work. You can go Conqueror. It's not really my playstyle. I don't really like it. It just feels like URGOT is not made for longer, prolonged fights and survivability. Being in the front line, it feels like you really want to have this burst damage and get out. You want to make a kill and get out, or go in and fear them, but you don't want to have really long fights where you utilize Conqueror. It does work though. I would pick it up if the enemies have a lot of bruisers, a lot of, you know, melee range champions, tanks, something like that. Then you can pick up Conqueror, maybe even Last Stand. Not really my vibe though. Didn't really like it when I played it myself. It did work. It's not trolling, but yeah, suit yourself, you know, try it out yourself. I would recommend the Press the Attack though. And then third, last but kind of least, is another option you can go for. You can actually go for Phase Rush. Then you would want to go for Transcendence and probably Gathering Storm just to make you even stronger late game. And I would still go for Magical Footwear and Approach Velocity. This I have tried. I don't like it. It didn't really work for me. It's a very weird playstyle. You want to just go in and immediately go out again with Phase Rush. I don't see the value. There's like maybe one or two niche you know, situations where you could take this if the enemies have insane amount of slow and your Swifties are just not enough, or if they have a lot of lockdown and you just have to, you know, go in and immediately go out again. But I don't know. I don't see the value. Your 1v1 is a lot weaker. Overall, you know, you don't stat check as much as you do with the precision tree. Try it out yourselves. And now also another tip and trick for everyone still here and interested in some more knowledge about URGOT. I can definitely recommend this guy, Kulumat on EU West. He is an URGOT Jungle OTP, and as you can see, it does work to at least master 153 LP, and I think he even lost a couple games here. He used to be around 300 LP, so it means the pick is viable up until, you know, mid-master tier, which is really, really good to know, because, you know, it's not a troll pick. It actually works. It's actually valid, aside from being incredibly fun to play. So if you want to learn even more, because, you know, my URGOT knowledge is a little bit limited, and I'm also not a high master player, I would recommend checking out this guy and looking for his replays, just going in some of his replays, see how he plays. I have done that myself, and usually you can see that this guy just farms. He just power farms a lot, doesn't gank too much unless it's a safe gank or it's a very good gank setup. And I think that makes the most sense. You just, like I said before, I'm going to repeat myself a couple times, you do want to just stat check and power farm on this guy, right? Because as soon as you have 2-3 items and you're level 13 plus, it's just GG for the enemies. As you can also already see, he always goes for blue smite. That just confirms the theory that you need movement speed and you want to clear fast and efficiently. And that's why you would take the blue smite. And he has a very similar build as we discussed. Now, interesting is he does have force of nature. I have seen this a couple times, and this is something you could go instead of Spirit Visage if they have a very AP heavy team. It also helps you with the movement speed and being a little bit more mobile, right, against heavy CC teams. So it's a very interesting pickup, and I think we might actually just adapt it and include that in our build. This is just one account that got recommended to me to check out to learn more about URGOT Jungle. I'm sure there's more URGOT Jungle enjoyers out there, so if you guys ever have any advice or any, you know, tips and tricks for this champion and for this pick, let me know under the video. That's all for me for the URGOT video. If you want to learn more about URGOT Jungle, for example, looking at what kind of abilities to level up, what to focus on, what pathing, the first jungle clear, super important. Go check out my old video. I will link that down below, and it's also, I think, somewhere up here. I'll have that link there as well. And definitely see you in the next videos. Ezreal, Malzahar, Singed, Garen. We have so many off-meta picks that we enjoyed, that were fun and strong. I will definitely, you know, keep you guys posted and upload more.